All right, A Course in Miracles. We're going through the text, chapter 19. This is the third obstacle to peace, the attraction of death. Dun, dun, dun. And we're on the incorruptible body. So, just as a preamble, I guess, or a prerequisite, there is a lot to this particular book. This is a non-dual book in that it's a philosophy that points to what could be considered reality, what's real. And the idea behind it is we're not living what is real, we're living what is temporary. And most people believe that they are their body, which is very bad news because everybody's body ends the same way. It dies and it ends up at the ground and it goes away. And that annihilation is terrifying at best. Well, it's terrifying in general. And one of the things that humans do that have the capacity, which is actually incredible, is we can be aware of our own awareness. We can be conscious of our own consciousness. Animals don't do that. Animals can resist death, but they're not afraid of dying, so to speak, sort of thing. But we could be freaked out of dying, and that is kind of the normal human thing. And it's the thing that actually connects us all, is the fear of death. Well, usually. And so the Course is saying, hey, there is something that is more real and it'll last forever, and it's that thing that's not your body. And it actually goes to say that it's not even your personality or your spirit or all these things. These are all separators that separate me from God. And there is one creator or one consciousness or one source that is the source of all life. And we actually all share that. The reality is we are that. And we have decided in some mystery to have this experience of what would it be like to be separate. And thus, in that idea of what would it be like to be separate in the all power of the one creator, we created the universe. And so in that separation, which is necessary to have the experience of being separate, we've created this cherished separation. But it turns out that separation is the reason for suffering. Separation and suffering and specialness and self-consciousness, being focused on our separateness and how we look and how we achieved and what's going well for my separate self and how I'm different from you. All of that is the sole reason for suffering. And as I release that, my suffering diminishes, which is crazy. And so this book is about all the barriers I have for my true reality, which is love. It calls it love, which is complete unity, that thing that can never be harmed, that thing that was never born, that part of me that has it all, so it can't gain anything. And so it just brings up all these barriers to love. It says that love cannot be taught, but the only thing that we can really do right now is just be aware of all the barriers that we have. And we have a lot of barriers. And all those barriers, it turns out, are all of our goals. All those things that we love the most, or say we love the most. Like, I love planning and getting to the next level and solving my problems and accomplishing my wonderful achievements, and all those things, turns out, is our barriers to love, because they become these conditions to happiness and peace. If I only had this, if this was different, if they were different, if I was different, then I'd be happy. And it's a bunch of barriers. So as we increase our awareness, we can learn to release our own barriers to happiness, really, peace and love. And we slowly start to become what we've always been. It's like the Goodyear blimp with all the ties and all we do. We're not pushing the Goodyear blimp in the air. All we're doing is releasing the ties, and it slowly starts to rise in resonance in the experience, which is a higher experience, not from effort, but from releasing the strain of holding it down.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
And Kristen, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
it definitely makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
I have a
I'm
habit of
also ready to leave now. Whenever.
yeah, I have a habit of monologues.
Run on sentences.
I apologize
Just kidding.
in advance. No punctuation.
Okay, who's reading? You?
I can't. Are you back, Sue?
I'll read.
All right.
Okay. From the ego came sin and guilt and death, in opposition to life and innocence, and to the will of God himself. Where can such opposition lie but in the sick minds of the insane, dedicated to madness and set against the peace of heaven? One thing is sure, God, who created neither sin nor death, wills not that you be bound by them. He knows of neither sin nor its results. The shrouded figures in the funeral procession march, not in honor of their Creator, whose will is they live. They are not following his will, they are opposing it.
All right, that's good. So once again, we have the incorruptible body versus the physical body. There is a part of us that is incorruptible. It cannot be tarnished. It cannot get sick. It cannot die. It cannot be separate even from others. And it is in opposition to this, and it is innocent as well. And so we have the ego that is always trying to be separate and always trying to and actually wants sin and death and sickness and separation because it keeps us alive, which is really strange. One of the concepts is the thing we fear the most is love. The thing that we fear the most is all getting everything that we ever wanted. Because what would happen if you stopped searching? The ego's mantra is seek but do not find. And the reason you seek and do not find and keep on seeking is that's what this is, this personality, the Javan personality, or the Layla, or the Kristen, or the Sue. The thing that makes you this separate thing is all the stuff that we continually spin and do, and it makes you unique. It's like your personality. It's these traits that we can say, oh, it's your differentiator. Like, oh, you're different. And then we cherish those differences. But the times that we feel like if you've had moments where you felt in love with somebody, like kid love, it's this beautiful swept up thing that is it's intoxicating, and there's no differentiating between you and the other. And I remember those times when I've had that when I was a kid. I didn't feel my body. It's really weird. There's no separators. And so, wow, is it that other person? I just need to find the other person to make me feel that love. Well, that's what the ego says. You just need to find the right person. And if the person you're with doesn't give it to you, well, they're the problem, those bastards. But what if the way that we felt, or that kid love that you felt, the in love that was so special, what if it was because you just let go of all your barriers? What if it was just because I let go of all my differentiators of otherness? Because if you remember, that same person, at least for me, that I had that experience of perfect love as a kid, a teenager, or whatever I was, slowly they blew it, and they showed signs that they weren't perfect, and I slowly created these barriers that stopped the love. And then pretty soon I didn't want to do it anymore. And now they went from the love of my life to my enemy. And I needed some space. You're starting to, be a little smothery. I'm sorry, whatever. And we start to create these conditions and start to cherish our separateness and start to protect ourselves and all those things that allow us to suffer. And so the ego keeps on doing that, not only with relationships, but uh, with the body itself. Keep separation. And one of the classic ways that never fails for the ego is to believe that there is death. Because if you can die, that assures the belief that your body is real. Because only something that is real can die. And so if you can stay just a little bit miserable, a little bit focused on this death that's looming, you constantly reify. You constantly make alive this thing that never was, which is the illusion of being this body. So,
Kristen, do you have any questions? Because we're kind of a little bit further along than you.
Yeah, I know, because you were mentioning something about that too last week, that we were speaking about, love and connection with somebody else, and the whole, what was it, how we want the white picket fence and creating expectations, but letting go of that.
Yeah.
So that was something that you guys, I think, were discussing last week, but that I feel like that's kind of tying into this week too.
Yeah, it all kind of ties together. We were saying how, we all want that white picket fence, but why do we want that white picket fence?
Yes, exactly.
yeah, we want we want a lot of stuff. Yeah, especially, right now with all the health issues that you're going through, it's really easy to be swept up in what should be, and we all have them, and it's easy to be miserable, and it's easy to be scared. And this particular book is extreme. Like, it's really difficult to see the really message that it's giving. But there's three different steps that are three different chunks. There's the first chunk of how do I get what I want, which I think it's actually useful to get that. And then there's another step of reality of personality development. Well, here I am trying to get what I want, and it's not always working. How do I become a better person? How do I use all the things in my life that's happening to me, at least to grow? Maybe not get what I want, but have a better life.
do, do you want to put yourself on mute, Kristen, until we talk?
Everything like that. Like, I want to live here, I want to do this, I want to travel, I want to do all this stuff, and then you're just fixated on that.
Yeah.
Say that again.
She wants to travel and do all this stuff, and she's fixated on what she
on what you can't do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was switching over from my AirPods to my speaker, so I didn't hear that last part.
You were just saying that you wanted to travel and things, as in, like, you can't do it.
At least not right now.
Yeah, I think because we have a list, of everything we want to do in life. Like, we plan our life ahead.
Yeah.
And not really focus so much at the moment. Like, I want to do this next year. I want to do this in 5 years from now. I want to do this 10 years from now. And it's something that you kind of just, you create goals for yourself, but those are your expectations, and then it kind of just consumes you when you don't meet those goals.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's very easy to do that. I think, and sometimes it's harder to see when the resistance is more extreme. And so there's a lot of intensity around when we get sick, especially when you get when the fear of death comes into the picture of being really sick, or even the story, right, around cancer. It doesn't mean like in all these kind of things, it's heavy, and the heaviness of the story and the heaviness around the social conversation is sometimes heavier than the actual sickness in your body. That's what's going on. And so you got multiple things that you can carry. And so what do you do with that? These kind of conversations that we're having is making use of it, I guess, making use of it. And it's there's another context, another spiritual writing that calls it catalyst. And the catalyst is any kind of catalyst is really like if you have a super bond or you have a super glue that has two parts. There's lots of glues that are like that, where you have the glue, the adhesive, and then you have the catalyst for the glue, and you mix it into this glue, and it only when you mix in the catalyst does it actually bond and become a super strong thing. And so that with that idea that all the things in our life that we don't prefer can be a catalyst for us to actually grow and get towards the life that we really want. And the reason all these bad things can help us to get to the life we want, which is peace and happiness and fulfillment, is because it addresses the lie. And the lie is that by changing the world around us, we're going to be happy. That's the lie. Because no matter how well you are physically, if you're like me, there's always been something that I can have a complaint about. If I'm not sick, well, maybe now I'm well, but now I'm not well enough, or now I'm not fit enough, or now I'm not handsome enough, and now I don't have enough friends, and now my wife doesn't have enough friends, and now my kids don't go to bed on time. Now my kids go to bed on time, but it takes too much work. But now I can just keep on adding things forever, and I do, and the times that I've been really injured and all these kind of things, I always, whenever I've recovered, it's always been something else. And so, what do we do about that? Well, we learn to see that it's not the change of my life that makes me happy. It's the letting go of the wanting for my life to change that makes me happy.
I was gonna say sometimes it's hard when you have a dream, like Kristen was saying, like I want to be somewhere in 5 days, I want to be somewhere in 5 years, and I want to be somewhere in 10 years. And
Yeah.
the more time that you have to have that dream or that goal, the more effort you put into imagining this dream goal, and you add more and more, components to it that make it this bigger dream. And when it doesn't come to fruition, or it doesn't come to the way that you want it to be, it's that much harder to like grieve that, because you have this dream in your mind. Whenever I would break up with a boyfriend, my mom would always say, like, you're breaking up with the dream lover, the dream that you had of this boyfriend, not the actual boyfriend.
That's right.
And I was like, you're right. Like I was in love with his potential, not the actual person.
Yeah.
And I feel like we get caught up in that sometimes.
The dream life, the dream boy, the dream job. There was a time, I complain all the time about finances or whatever, but there was a time in human history not that long ago that if I would have rolled up in my Nissan Murano and with this magic device that I have in my hand called a cell phone, that I would probably be the most influential person in the world overnight, because the technology didn't exist. And also, if they would have found out I had a little room in my house where I can go in and use the bathroom and just flush it, and then it was clean, and I didn't have to go outside in the weather to do it, it would be the kings and queens of the day did not have such luxury, even though they had all the money in the world. But nowadays, I'm like, oh man, it's embarrassing to drive my Nissan Murano. I hope no one sees me. I hope no one sees me park, you know, because why? Because I'm really looking outside to the other bodies on what these other bodies are doing and comparing my body, what it has, with the other people's bodies, and then I determine worth like that. And so it's all comparison game, really. That's usually what all of us thinking we're bodies are doing, and it ends up being a game that we never win.
Yeah.
I can be very thankful about modern abilities to, you know, solve my problems, and I could be releasing it, and I can be realizing that my body is not me, and be enjoying all of my moments and be super curious like my little kids used to be super curious about an ant, and their whole afternoon could be focused on following an ant away, and that's all they needed to be fulfilled. Versus when I'm older now and I have all these goals that I need to achieve, because now that I'm mature and I figured it out, but I'm actually fairly miserable so often because of it.
Are you gonna say something, Sam? I thought you were.
Anyway, this is a lot. You're kind of getting blasted right now, Kristen. I'm not. There's no intention of. You're in a, especially with all the medical stuff, you're in a really, really scary, tough spot. I don't mean to diminish that at all, but it just happens to be the exact topic of what we're talking about.
She's good. I wouldn't have brought her in if she.
It is pretty difficult. Yeah, it's a tough one to discuss, but it also makes me like see things a little bit differently, or like I do have a lot of insecurities about it. A lot of things are holding me back. It's a complete whirlwind.
Totally.
I don't think anybody at my age, or any woman, or any man maybe, wants to walk around with a bald head.
Yeah.
But you got to learn to like love yourself over it. And I feel like most of my day, I rock it. I'm like,
Sorry,
yeah, actually, like,
I was
I'm
laughing
good.
because Javon has a bald head.
They're like, it's like it's not, say for me, for instance, it's not what I want. Like I'm missing some of my chest area. Like, I look like a little bit of a cyclops, and I have sometimes during the day, but I have breakdowns, and I, fan upon my image.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the day, I'm like, you know what? It's okay. But then I do have those moments, maybe 15 minutes here, maybe 15 minutes there, and I kind of dig a hole, or like just like I'm just like I don't know, like I go into like a dark spot, and then I project that on people around me, like I can't believe I'm going through this, and
Yeah.
stressing everybody out, stressing out my husband,
Yeah.
stressing out my kids. But I mean, those are my intentions. That's how I feel at the moment.
Yeah. And of course that's okay. Well, I don't even know if it's of course, but it is okay. And one of the things to do, and one of the concepts of this book that we're reading is that we can't really change the world, and we might not even be able to change ourselves, and there might be some kind of like destiny, karmic type things that something's happening beyond our understanding that we can't even control. It's unknown. We're doing the best we can, and here we are. We're playing the cards that we were dealt in this seeming life, that I'm seemingly this person in this body. So what do I do with that? Well, the first thing to do is to start to watch yourself. Start to be aware of how you relate to things. Start to be aware of the times that you might be even enjoying the moment. That could it be a moment that you share with somebody over a meal, like a time that maybe you're slowed down and just still, because of some, in a way that you wouldn't have been otherwise with a normal busy life, because of a sickness. Can there be moments like that? And just be watching yourself, being able to enjoy it, and then watch yourself go into some future time of and this bad story that you can make up. Watch yourself feel bad because of this bad future event that hasn't happened yet. Go from a place of everything is actually fine. I'm sitting here in a chair. Everything's fine, but I'm suffering now because of this thing that might happen or even probably will happen. Either way, it's in my mind.
I think the statistic is like 98% of what you worry about doesn't happen.
Well, that and
The overthinking.
what was that?
The overthinking.
What did you say?
The overthinking.
Oh, overthinking. That's right. Yeah, and it accentuates it when our body's in jeopardy, right? When we're sick or where something bad happens, we're broke, someone steals our money or someone steals our car or all these things that come in and mess up the fantasy of control that we have, that I have everything under control. But that idea usually is associated with I have the outcome of my body in control. But it's not true. The outcome of our body is the same for everybody. The body always dies. There has to be there has to be something more, at least for me. It just doesn't make any sense that could be it. It can't be just the body. And so that starts this thinking process. Well, if I'm not the body, what am I? Who am I? And that question is big. You can spend your whole life with that question. You could spend lifetimes with that question, if you could even believe that that's possible. And so now here we are, just observing myself. Well, am I the person that's maybe watching myself and considering? And if you can just stay in that spot of, well, isn't that interesting that I can sit here and be focused on the moment and be happy in the moment, and then I can shift out of the moment into some future horrible time and feel bad. Could I shift to a future wonderful time? Would I feel better? Well, the answer is yes.
I would say, I don't know how much time we have, but my favorite lesson is lesson 5. I don't know. She doesn't have the book, so she doesn't know about like the lessons and stuff. But sorry, I was gonna say, if you repeat this throughout the day, like a few times, whenever you get upset or whatever, it says, I'm not angry at blank for the reason I think, or I am not afraid of blank for the reason I think. I'm not worried about blank for the reason I think. I don't know if you can elaborate on that, but it helps me get through my days because it makes me realize like my anger towards this is not, it's made up, I guess, right? In my mind, I've made it a reason to be upset, and it doesn't need to be.
All of our experiences come from our beliefs about them. And so if I'm upset, it's because I believe something about them. There's been plenty of people, lots of people that have had horrible health issues that say, I'm so thankful for that health issue because, and then they have this other story, right? Mm-hmm. It helped me get off this horrible work thing and I realized what matters most in life. It helped me to reset my whole diet. Now I'm healthy. It helped reset my relationships with my kids or my family or my whoever. It's just that they made up a different story about it, and now that horrible thing became a wonderful thing. The point of it all is, whether it's a horrible life or a wonderful life, we're making both lives up. And so how do you change it when you're in the middle of it? Well, I don't think you can. It's really hard when you're on a path. When I'm depressed, I can't just not be depressed. Yeah. That doesn't work for me anyway. I'm stuck. But what I can do is watch myself be depressed. Be aware of it. Don't be the depression. Watch yourself. It's so interesting that be curious about the feeling. Where do you feel it in your body? What are the things you're thinking about when you're depressed? What can you not get over? But watch yourself doing it. Don't be it.
Watch yourself. I think the best analogy of that is when he said, imagine yourself sitting in a movie theater with Jesus and you're watching the movie of Kristen. and how it's playing out. And that's the easiest way for me to kind of like sit back and be like, what are these emotions that this temper tantrum that this Layla character is throwing on set, you know?
Yeah.
Temper tantrum.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
have those every once in a while.
Javon has some temper tantrums too, yeah, for sure.
Oh, I threw one last night. You should have been there.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's a real good one.
That's okay. I had it a couple nights too. And it's like that's hard too because when you get in that like depression state once in a while, and it's like who's sitting next to you, and mostly it's like the husband, and like I'll lash out to him over something I'm stressed out about, and then I get him upset because I'm upset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's hard. It's really hard to do by your time. Someone's sitting right there, and like it's bottling up inside you, and you just have to let it go.
Yeah. I think the more I learn to let things go, the easier my life gets. I remember one time that it was so obvious because I was complaining about these two friends that were going behind my back, and I kept talking to Jared about it because we lived in LA and he's the only person I could really talk to about it. And one day we were going through the in and out line, and he just yelled at me and he said, "Stop talking about it!" And I was like, I just started bawling because I was like, "You're so insensitive. I'm going through some shit right now. You don't even care." And he's like, "But you keep talking about it and nothing is changing." He's like, "If you want to talk about it, go talk to somebody else." And so I didn't have any other friends to talk about it with, and he wouldn't talk about it with me. So I couldn't talk about it anymore. And then because I couldn't talk about it anymore, I stopped thinking about it. I would think about it for a second, but then I'd be like, well, I can't talk about it to anybody, so why am I going to think about it? And eventually it just went away, and I got over it like within a couple of days. But for a week, I was complaining about these friends that I had lost, how they betrayed me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on loop with this like torment of how they did it and why they did it and all the details of how they hurt me.
Yeah,
and it consumed me, reliving it like a fucking Groundhog Day, but horror film.
Yeah.
And I was torturing myself.
Yeah.
I've been kind of doing that too.
Yeah. So don't do that anymore.
So stop it.
Yeah.
Stop fucking doing that.
I told my husband the other day, even because I was in such a depression mode because it was the day before my chemo a couple days ago, and I was just sitting on the couch and telling my husband, I'm like, I should just do this on my own. I shouldn't have anybody around me. I'm just going to do this on my own because I'm putting everybody down, and then like just getting into complete depression, which can happen. But why would I say that to him? I'm not going to get feelings.
Yeah.
He was super upset with tears in his eyes, and it's hard to like bottle it up. But
it gets easier. The more you practice, it gets easier, I promise. Because if you label it as bottling it up, then it feels like you're bottling it up. But if you just say, I'm going to release it, then it feels more like a release than I'm bottling this up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because then I'm not holding on to it.
Yeah, just reword it, and it's easier to kind of let go. You know.
I got to work on that one. That makes
you can do it.
Just
I can.
There's nothing else that you need to do except watch yourself doing it.
Yeah.
Be aware.
Yeah.
Be aware, and maybe that's a really good step. That's a really good step, and this is a lifelong process.
Oh yeah.
You don't need to figure it out in 5 minutes.
But I think us meeting every Monday and Friday has allowed us to kind of like move forward. And I've seen a difference. Yeah. Sue, are you there? Sorry, we're like taking over conversation. I got to get to the kids, but I wanted to hear from you. You're good.
Yeah, for me, I told you guys a little bit about my super tantrum where my protector personality came out last Friday.
Yeah.
And what really, let's see, to keep it short, basically, I try to use like whenever it's my neck is always hurting, right? My neck or my back, whatever, is always hurting. So Like, whenever I'm feeling emotionally upset too, then I feel like the physical pain kind of helps. Like if I can get quiet enough, and if I cannot get swept up by the story right away, either swept up or spiral down. Like if I can like catch that before and use like my body being like, okay, well, I feel that pain here, and then it's like watching and focusing on that pain, almost that pain versus the emotional like wanting to be volatile, helps me to be like, well, that, like, thank you, body, for letting me know, like, that's there, and I am watching that pain, so obviously I am not that pain, and I am not this body. And in that same way, I can kind of detach from the emotion as well a little bit and watch the emotion, watch the discomfort, whether it's physical or emotional, and get into that movie theater, like you were saying.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing
instead
that.
of spiraling up or spiraling down.
That's right. All your pain is what it is. But when we suffer, it's the story we make up about our pain that makes us suffer. What's our life that we're missing out on? What's the life that we don't want that's going to happen because of whatever it is? And then we suffer. But if you release that story and just experience and observe the pain is not suffering. It's actually helpful. There's been plenty of times that I'm in pain and I love it. I can go to the gym and work out really hard and I hurt. And I'm like, yes, I hurt. This is awesome. Because it's a story of now I'm getting fit, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And so if you just watch yourself doing what you're doing, you'll start to, all of us, we start to see how we inflict suffering on ourselves that's unnecessary. And all suffering is unnecessary. It's not helpful.
Amen. Thanks for letting us girls talk to you. He's got a girl club now.
Girl club. My favorite. I always dreamed of having a girl club.
So funny. Okay, I gotta get to the kids. Charlie needs me to do her hair.
All right. Night, night.
Love you guys.
Good day.
All right,
Have a good one.